everyone. Welcome to us first episode in 2024, episode 24-1 of Bald Man Rants. It's an old thing Toby and I used to do. We did it a couple years ago. Don't worry about those blonde locks you see sticking out of his hair. This is a Bald Man Rants episode because, well, we got some ranting to do. And you're probably going to see more of these throughout the weeks and not just on the regular show. I've also moved my camera to a new spot, so I got to get used to looking down at that. But anyways, Toby, we're ranting. You ready to go?
I am ready, and I apologize for leaving you alone and bald in the world. The good Lord blessed me with follicles that work. I just ignored them for a couple of years for hygiene purposes in the service.
But that Propecia is doing magic.
Dude, now I'm living my best hippie life. So, but hey,
there you go.
These bald man rants were like, I've missed them because it lets us like air out quick little things that are newsworthy and great to enlighten some folks on. The first thing I think we're going to talk about tonight, not in the news, but kind of, is the Secretary of Defense, Austin, former general, leader of two debauched withdrawals, has been missing in action.
AWOL, some would say.
Like some would say, absent without leave.
Yeah.
But I guess if you can sign your own DA-31, it's all good. But
I guess he can.
Yeah. But like, so it appears, and correct the timeline where I'm inaccurate. On the 21st or 22nd of December, the Secretary of Defense entered a hospital for some surgery, elective surgery, to which he found himself stranded in the ICU. And when I use the term stranded,
so he did a surgery and got out, and I guess came home for Christmas and New Year's.
Oh.
And something went wrong. Maybe they left something in there. You know, sometimes you hear those horror stories. They leave like a tissue or a gauze or something. He probably went to the VA, and he's experiencing what all of our soldiers and veterans have to go through. He had to go back in because it went bad, and he went right in ICU. He went there by ambulance. So
all right. So old dudes in ICU forgets to mention let's just go ahead and say everybody that he's there. And
I think we called that a 5-point contingency plan, wasn't it?
And so like this is why it's newsworthy. And this is why some alarm bells.
Isn't that what we called it in the Army, the 5-point contingency plan?
Yes.
Like, I'm leaving, I'm gonna go up to the recon site. Here's the who, what, when, where, why, how, in case I don't come back, right? If I remember right. I've been out for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, like,
okay.
And this is why it should be alarming. And, you know, like, it is the season, so, like, bells should be ringing, but alarm bells, like, serious alarm bells should be ringing right now, because how do you have a cabinet member go MIA?
Number 6 in the order of succession to the president.
Yeah. Number 6. No big deal. The SecDef. And goes MIA, and not only does it go MIA, no one knows that he goes MIA. His deputy, prearranged trip, you know, dealing with some of the many conflicts that we're engaged in right now, thanks to why for whatever reason we're engaged in these conflicts, and doesn't know.
She's on leave. She's on post-Christmas leave.
Vacation, right? She's on vacation.
Yeah.
She's on
in Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico.
Leave.
Yeah, on block leave in a territory. So she's reachable.
On block leave. She's on block leave. I'm sorry, the Secretary of State. You know,
he's bouncing all over the place. He's in Israel like every other day, or Ukraine or somewhere. He's trying to patch together like all kind of stuff, right?
And so but the SecDef is missing. And once they identify, the boss is in the hospital. Once someone finally like clues that up, they're like, yeah, we should probably tell the big boss that he's in the hospital. So they call the White House, probably just called the generic number. Can I be patched through? And they're like, hey, minor thing, SecDef, hospital, ICU. Uh,
Incapacitated.
who wants to tell the boss? And then the game of hot potato begins somewhere in the West Wing.
But to give you some time, let's get some timeline to this.
Yeah,
I see you on a Monday, waited to call the hospital on Wednesday, right? And then, or call the White House. The White House knows on Wednesday. They
when
don't
does
tell
the
the president.
president know?
Friday.
When is the commander in chief?
So we have a major war, proxy war in Ukraine. We're fighting against Putin and Russia. We have Taiwan being threatened from every different direction by China. We have North Korea now piping back up, and he's firing some missiles off and doing some stuff, right? Got that going on.
Annihilation. Right? He said
we have a lot of forces in Japan who just had a major earthquake, had planes crash on the runway, and have rescue operations going all over. And in the hotbed powder keg of the Mideast, the Gaza, major war has been going on for 3 months. Yesterday was the 3rd month anniversary of the incursion into Israel, going on again, kind of another proxy war. We have anti-defense missile systems, all kind of stuff, probably special operators over there helping out. Just a sampling of what we know about.
That's number 5. And like John Cena, you can't see the SecDef because he's in ICU. Who's in charge? Nobody. And
because the deputy's on leave. Remember, deputy didn't know.
No one's in charge.
No one's in charge.
No one's in charge.
No 5-point contingency plan at all.
No, like not a good general. Not a good general.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's why his operations he was in charge of in a green suit didn't work. Yeah,
all failed. Now, the best part though, and when I say the best, I mean the scariest part, is the fact that people sat on that information. And so it's
not that it's not just he's inept. He's surrounded by lieutenants, if you would, his captains, the secondary leaders around him that are operational experts.
Yeah.
In assistance.
So and here's the thing. I can hear it now. Pundits are going to say, well, we wanted to make sure. Okay, cool. That's actionable intelligence. That's vital information, critical commander info, CCI.
Toby, I hate to keep interrupting, but some thoughts here. Imagine what it tells our adversaries, China, Russia, and all them. Wow, the U.S. is missing. They're missing. Yeah, they're missing their SecDef. They didn't even know it. No one told the old man.
Like no one's in charge, and then it's like no one's like processed. Hey, we need to deal with this. And what's alarming is people are gonna be like, okay, you're misreading this. It's just this, or it's just that. The bottom line is there's no correct answer here.
Can I throw number 6 on you there? You threw 5. Can I throw 6?
We already did 5. Yeah, hit 6.
During this time, we did a surgical strike taking out a senior Iranian Hamas leader in Baghdad. In Baghdad, in a sovereign nation, which we no longer have an agreement to do whatever we want in. We did a drone missile strike and killed a senior Iranian Hamas leader. So Iranian, representing them in the capital of Iraq. We did it during this time while he was out. So someone's making decisions.
Yeah. So normally I wasn't going to bring that one up, and I was, but it's good that we did. I wasn't going to bring it up for the reason that we just talked about our adversaries, but the right answer is the chain of command always needs to be followed. The chain of command always needs to be intact, and it hasn't been. And the scary thing is, it doesn't matter if they were like, oh, it's not a big deal. Well, if you leave your office, you got to put an out of office email thing on.
That's a courtesy. It's a professional courtesy. Right? Like, hey, I'm out of office with sporadic contact to email and text. If you have any questions, contact Toby. Email address, phone number. For any emergencies, please call.
But what we're telling the world, no matter how you translate it, is either we are that inept, top down, or from the top, we believe that either the Secretary of Defense is irrelevant and insignificant, or we believe that the President of the United States is irrelevant and insignificant, because the flow of this information got stuck, right?
And
It
Toby,
doesn't
either
matter if
one of
it,
them is to me is almost equal. When you're talking
yeah,
about sixth in line of succession,
yeah.
the
It
cabinet
doesn't
being any
matter
member of the cabinet, especially a critical position like that, right? Attorney General, Secretary of Defense, Department, Secretary of State, they are just as critical as the president.
Right. So the point I'm kind of drilling at here is the people in the middle, and it doesn't matter if it's on the Secretary of Defense side, it doesn't DOD, Department of Defense side, and it doesn't matter if it's in the White House, Chief of Staff, West Wing. It doesn't matter. They're both wrong, and they're both wrong because like this is critical information, and you withheld it. And it says either the Secretary of Defense is irrelevant and insignificant. It also says the president is irrelevant and insignificant. Now, back to what I wasn't going to mention, and that's this drone strike. High action events like that are usually quarterbacked. There's famous video, previous administrations huddled up in the Situation Room, quarterbacking these type of events because these type of events take authorization. So if the president, like, who's authorizing these hits?
Yeah. Maybe it is truly delegated to the real wartime commanders. Maybe the
Which is
CENTCOM
cool.
commander had that authority,
Cool.
right? To just take it like, hey, I got a target. I'm confident in my target. I'm authorizing which, yeah, maybe that's a good thing.
Cool.
But you think he'd want to call boss man and be like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. I just keep going to his voicemail. Like, I can't get anybody.
These things are typically quarterbacked, and like, who's in charge? Is the president of the United States going like, yeah, hit it? Which I really hope the president of the United States is like, yeah, hit it. I hope we have that person there. That's what's expected of that office.
I mean, you're launching an attack and incursion into a sovereign country. Yes.
With history, the last time we did it, Soleimani, right, did it on Route Irish, right?
Right.
Like, good times. But like, we can't be just. We need to do better. We need to get the chain of command intact.
Remember, this was an administration that ran on transparency. They claimed that the previous administration was not transparent, was corrupt. Was this administration is ran on transparency
internally?
Yeah,
like this is what's so disturbing. Is like, it doesn't matter what side it came from. They're all wrong.
There have been calls. There've been calls for him to resign, for the president to make him resign, and there's even talks of impeaching him for this, considering it a gross dereliction of duty. Because he's taken full. So the SecDef released a statement it was his decision, and he had an error in judgment, and he should have said something. So he forgot to set the out of office, and I forgot to set my out of office and reset my voicemail and that kind of stuff. He did that from the hospital bed.
He absolutely needs to be replaced, not just for this, but just
he's completely incompetent.
And this demonstrates it. But man, what's scary is like we got handlers. Like, this demonstrates that we have handlers, and who's really in control. Because if the White House can sit on a missing cabinet member for more than 24 minutes, like, we got real issues. Like,
much less 72 hours.
Yeah.
The Pentagon press corps,
24 hours, then 40. Like, if you shouldn't anyone that's on the designated list, we should always have positive control of.
I don't know
Now,
what the
if
title is of the
I
who's
got
in
to tell
charge
you,
of the National Security Council, but I gotta imagine they blew a blood vessel when they found out no one told them, because the NSC is tracking all these people, right? When 9/11 happens, the NSC knows where to grab everybody, right? They know
and
how to get everyone.
well, and so
They
like
lost complete.
maybe someone there needs to be relieved too.
I think someone needs to put an air tag in his back pocket so they know where he's at. They can do the Apple AirTag thing on
Like
or something.
there's this is such an egregious failure, and like it won't make news. It'll get swept under the rug. Like,
It's
but it,
making pretty good, but will it last more than 48 hours on the news cycle with
yeah,
Epstein stuff dropping left and right? Who knows, right?
yeah. I mean, it just demonstrates like how fragile we've become. Like
Yeah.
it's mind blowing to me, like that the White House feels that the Secretary of Defense, who's not a good one, I mean, undoubtedly one of the worst we've ever had, um, is that irrelevant that they're going to sit on that information. It also shows the contempt of the Department of Defense
Towards the administration, towards the White House.
towards the White House to disrespect them by not letting them know that there's a real issue here. And like that's what I'm saying. Like everyone here is wrong. Everyone here is wrong. And the right answer is the chain of command needs to remain intact at all times.
Yeah.
You're
And that's why he's being
all right,
called
First
for.
Sergeant.
That's why
All
he's
right,
being called to resign.
all right, First Sergeant. What's what's the first formation of the day? What's the first command of the day? Fall in, right? Immediately following the preparatory command of fall, the command of execution in, the next preparatory command is receive
The
the
report
report. Platoon sergeants execute an about face, and they receive the report from
from
the
each
first
squad
line
leader.
leaders,
Yes, that's right.
right?
Whatever it may be.
What is the cost? What is the repercussions for giving a false report? I believe it's covered in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's been a minute. You know, my Audie Murphy brain's trying to work right now, but
Yeah. Yeah.
unfortunately, I've had some concussions. So
It's
it's a little,
it starts with an ass chewing and it goes up from there. I can tell you that.
but there's definitely an immediate call for non-judicial, but most
Yeah.
likely judicial.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've seen judicial actions for bad report. Like, and I'm talking extreme cases where soldiers miss formation in car wrecks, um, DUIs in jail.
And that's why we would tell those junior first line leaders, don't cover for him, because
Yeah,
if Joe
yeah,
Snuffy is dead in a ditch and you reported all present, and you don't know where they're at, and then we get a call from the hospital, like
yeah. No,
somebody's
like
getting rolled up.
no, like, and tragically, I remember at Fort Hood, one of my first unit, 1-5 Cav, shout out Black Knights.
Like Knights.
False report given, soldier dead in the barracks.
Right.
Like
And with the
first
dude, with
line
the
leader
number of
didn't go and
suicides,
check.
with the number of suicides nowadays in military, I
Yeah,
mean, you got to stand. You can't take anything. You can't be like, oh, he's probably running late or
like
whatever.
so.
You better be.
So there's so many different layers to this.
So
Uh,
I imagine there's a 2 or 3 star. So when our good friend General Abrams was when he was a 3-star, he had part of his stint before he went to become USFK commander and FORCECOM commander. He was the senior military assistant to the Secretary of Defense, which was Rumsfeld at the time. He was a 3-star. He was the senior military advisor. Wasn't the CJCS? Wasn't, in fact, I'm curious if the chairman of the Joint Chiefs even knew about this. I haven't heard about that yet. Did they know? But General Abrams at the time, Lieutenant General, was the senior military advisor to Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld. And that was his job. He was his right hand, anything really military, tactical, that kind of stuff. Because obviously, Secretary of Defenses are typically civilians coming from whatever background, but they don't all necessarily have served or whatever like that, or they're not current stuff. So I'm sure that role is still there. There's a 3-star that's assigned to this, who probably was wondering, like, wow, I haven't seen the boss around lately. Like, I was nothing. I got no bounce back on his email. Nothing.
Yeah, no, like
Right.
the and so like I'm dude, again, here we are, a couple of former NCOs. The block leave, great invention, right? One of the cool things about modern day technology is text messaging, and
Yeah.
on block leave you can still text your guys, just check in on them. And as an NCO, like, it's kind of expected. I would call my guys on block leave and
Just checking in.
just checking
Yeah.
in. And so, like, there's no excuse. Everyone knows better. Everyone's done a safety brief. This is horrible accountability, and it's just like a idiot general shooting his 9mm into a clearing barrel because he doesn't know how to clear a gun. All right, I'm done.
Yeah. No, it's we'll have to see what happens over the next few days, if anything, but I'm not confident that he'll be held to task or accountable. The president has already said he has full confidence and nothing's going to happen. But what does he know? All right. I mean, come on, look who we're talking about. Now, I am very confident that under the previous administration, I mean, he hired and fired like nobody's business. Dude, they would be walked out the door if his Secretary of Defense, who, even though he's 6th in line for the succession, the Secretary of Defense maintains usually a lot of command and control and decision-making authority over military operations that don't have to go be above him. Right there, not everything goes to the president. The SecDef is allowed to authorize, and usually is delegated the ability to do a lot of things. It's a very powerful. In fact, many will call pretty much the power triangle is not the president VP. It's the president, the Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Defense. They are considered the power triangle, especially on global and foreign policy. Those two departments and the chief commander in chief himself are really the three that make the decisions and execute stuff. The VP is just hanging out in the room watching the video feed, and everyone else is not really, that's just not their role, right? But it's just like, in the intel community, there's a different group of people that are responsible in the intel community, but in the defense industry, defense community, and the world stage, it's those three. To have one of those three missing and neither one knowing it, and we also don't know when the Secretary of State was even notified. We just know he wasn't notified for at least those first couple of days. So he's out there gallivanting all over. It also highlights how much, here's one more thing I heard, Toby, that there's not been a cabinet level meeting since October 2nd. It is early January. There has not been a cabinet level to get together meeting since October 2nd. How is it with everything going on in this world? We are not sunshines and rainbows. Does a cabinet not get together?
My dog is curious about that too.
He's like, what? He's like, I don't get it. That's a curious look on his face.
He's like, are you shitting me right now? No one's in charge. He's like, I know who's in charge in this house.
But that just goes to show you the lack of leadership we have at the upper level, that the president is not getting his cabinet together, right, to talk through a number of things collectively, but I guess maybe they're afraid that they'll get together and start talking 25th Amendment. I don't know, but just saying. Anyways, we'll wrap this up. Bald Man Rant number 1 of 2024. We thank you all for watching, and keep an eye out for the next one because it's right around the corner.